My name is Notisha Massaquoi. I'm the Executive Director of Women's Health and Women's Hands Community Health Center. In terms of gender bias and how it plays out in child welfare, what you have to look at is how we construct women in a particular way and how we construct men in a particular way. And it's very unconscious. We're very conditioned to think of women do this and men do this. And then if you add race into that sort of scenario, we have a particular way that we view racialized women. And we have to really understand that when we're constructing women in child welfare, we're also looking at them as mothers. And depending on how we view particular types of mothers, or who is considered a good mother, or who's considered the best mother, everything else or anyone else that doesn't meet that standard becomes dysfunctional, problematic, or unworthy of being a parent. Black women are often viewed of as people who are loose, who are unproductive, who are highly sexualized. We're never viewed of in context of a whole family or as nurturing women. And so when you have those kinds of stereotypes about women in particular, and black women in this case, then when we show up to engage with them as child welfare workers, those stereotypes are very prevalent in how we are viewing this person and what we view their behavior to be as functional or dysfunctional. So what we have to understand is that we have very unconscious biases about, first of all, how we construct a woman, how we construct a mother, and how we construct being a good mother. And particular cultural groups are not constructed as good mothers. When we look at women in particular, when we're constructing poor women, women who are racialized, women who come from particular cultural groups that we don't have a lot of experience with, the thing that will cloud our judgment and view of them is that unconscious bias and the stereotypes that we have. They're so pervasive and strong that it's very hard to remove them. In terms of gender bias, depending on how we've constructed different types of mothers, one of the key things is emotion and love. So we put weight on how much we believe a parent loves their child or is going to be able to care for their child. And oftentimes in a lot of scenarios where we're looking at racialized communities, we don't conceptualize these families as loving families or these women as loving, nurturing women. It's a particular racism that women experience. And our racism is about criticizing our ability to parent, criticizing our ability to care for our children, criticizing our ability or undermining our ability to think that we actually know what's best for our kids, that we are trying our best to provide them with the basics of life. And all of those things get really compromised and undermined when it's put in the context of racism in particular. In my organization, we had a situation that was very prevalent for us in terms of our engagement with a Children's Aid Society. We had a mother who actually was in the last stages of HIV/AIDS. She was dying, and her teenage children were not going to school. They were terrified that their mother would pass away while they were at school. The school called the Children's Aid Society. They showed up at the home, and mom was in final stages of, yes, dying, in fact, and they removed the children from the home because they hadn't been going to school. The mom was unable to attend the first session with Children's Aid because she was dying. And she was seen as uncooperative and uncompliant. And there was no moment in that scenario where they looked at, can we look at her support systems? Can we look at getting support? Or could they understand why the kids would not want to go to school while their mom was dying? To make a long story short, mom passed away without seeing her children again and without the children seeing the mom before she died. That to me is one of the worst case scenarios where you are not looking at this woman as a loving, nurturing woman and her children as children who are absolutely terrified about losing their mother because you couldn't see the humanity in that scenario. And I think any common sense would tell you a natural response of children when their mom is getting ready to pass is to not go to school. And why couldn't we just put common sense around that scenario? I mean, look at what other supports could we have given that family to keep them together at the last stages of mom's life. And to not even project into the future the impact of denying the children that opportunity to spend their last moments with the mom, how that's going to impact them for the rest of their lives. And that's some of the issues that we have in terms of when we don't understand or view women as good parents because the choices they make are different than the ones we make. And that for me had to be one of the most profound experiences to have to go through as a service provider, and to walk a woman through the last stages of life and her saying, I'm tired of fighting, I'm just going to let them go.